All right, guys, let's talk about a few things on this chart that happened today. First of all, is it not uncanny how we often finish at POC? Yep, the longer you're in our group, the more often you'll see that. And today, to me, the story of today are trend lines. So we drew this trend line, and I said I would watch that trend line if I were you. And when we break the trend line and it retests, the short game is over. Okay? Then you are able to draw a new trend line, and the short game doesn't begin until we break that and possibly backtest it. Okay? These trend lines really are important. Now, trend lines are rarely entries unless it offers confluence with a level that we already have. Okay? So trend lines is a great way to stay in a trade. And until it hard closes it, do you get out? I prefer using my break levels because I would, on this particular trade, you would have gotten out here, in my opinion, a point or two above that versus breaking the trend line. This would have went really against your short. So that's why I don't really use trend lines to keep me in a trade, but it can often be a good way to do that. But I prefer to use break levels. And trend lines are nothing more than a way to make the story of break levels pretty. So all those are break levels, and the trend line does nothing but connect those, okay? So if you're going to draw a downward sloping trend line, you go from a top of a white candle to a top of a white candle. If you're going to draw an upward moving, you go from blue candle to blue candle. If you want to go from the body, you can, or if you want to go from the wick, you can. It doesn't matter. It'll just be a slightly different slant. But if you were to be strict, you just do it from the tip of the candle to the tip of the candle. Okay. So today was a great day for the story of trend lines. It was short until it starts laddering back, right? Now, okay, trends are hard to break. So this thing was definitely pointed upward. So you could definitely say this was a break level. I want to make sure I'm on a 3-minute. This is a break level. And actually, I would adapt it back to here. That's a break level. So here, it came down. This was a nice backside short that we discussed. And then we just couldn't break this break level. And then it added this to the just can't break the break level. And when that broke, I would take this trend line that was pointed up, and now we're at balance, okay? So I would move this to balance somewhere when it broke that, okay? So this was 1, 2, perhaps 3 break levels, maybe 4. But because of the way price was reacting here, I couldn't change my trend to balance until probably it breaks here. Maybe when it broke that and it came back. So somewhere in this area here, I would change this from up to balance, okay? Now, when does it go to down? Well, I'd like to start seeing it leave behind from the balance, from when it turned balance. I'd like to see new break levels left behind. It didn't leave any break levels from behind. In fact, it created one break level here, and maybe you'd say, okay, from the balance area, this was the first break level. And then it created a second, and it didn't continue. So in my opinion, at this probably, let me see, it broke this break level, and it broke this break level, and then probably, in all honesty, about right here, my arrow would have went back to bull. So in this case, my opinion, we were longer flat here, and in this area it was balance, and then when it got back to here, it went back to bull. So it went bull, balance, bull. Then when you throw in our ranges, when this thing broke here, then you enter to this green area. If you weren't already short from up here, it's real hard to go short in this green area. Okay? difficult for the obvious reasons. And then look what price did. It went right back to the top of the range. So we want to pay attention to these things when it comes to price action, okay? I also noted in the group when we were here that I think this became a 3-minute origin, which is really not that important, but I want you to notice it when it broke it, how violent it was. So yeah, I would consider that a three-minute origin there. And then what I did is I wanted to measure something. I wanted to measure the number of points when price came back, it hit the VWAP, it hit the trend. How much of a bounce did it get? Because in our high time frame levels, we look for 15 to 25 points. And I'm going to start paying attention to when VWAP and trend line meet and price touches it and bounces. Because when do you want to take a counter? So in other words, this is longer flat. When could you take a short? Well, first of all, it's against the top of the range, but how many points is that? You want to be able to give it a fair bounce. So that's just something I'm paying attention to. So these are many little nuances here that I wanted to bring out in today's price action, which worked really well. I was short many times in this area and was not in that. It happens. Then I took this short here, and price went against, and then it came back, and then it went again, and then boom, I'm out. Made hardly anything with the goal for it to come back to POC, and it certainly did that. And oh well, that happens. So all of this is still very bullish to me. All of this is still laddering here from the bottom. In fact, should put this trend line here. But this is getting very beat up. This is getting very beat up. This zone here. If we take that out, I think we're coming back to this cannon.
Stay green, my friends, and to learn more about our group, go to microstrader.com.